Okay, so we should start our webinar today. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our esteemed webinar titled Improve Research and Academic Writing Skills, Guide to Getting Published in a Reputable Journal. Your presence here is concrete evidence of our collective commitment to enhancing the understanding and advancement of a field of knowledge. And we extend our gratitude and warm welcome to our esteemed speaker today, Dr. Ferry, Ph.D. Welcome, Dr. Ferry. And we extend our respect to the head of Department of Management, Dr. Brigitta Melianti Sulungbudi, Ph.D. AK. And we extend our respect to the experienced lecturers in their respective fields and to the dedicated postgraduate students in the doctoral and master program. And thank you for your presence, and we greatly appreciate the support you have provided for this event. We give thanks to the Almighty God first, for it is only by His grace that we can gather here today to the online Zoom platform to attend this webinar in good health and happiness. Allow me to introduce myself first. My name is Chatherine Melinda, and I am honored to be your Master of Ceremony for this event. And it is the pleasure to have each and every one of you in attendance today. Before we start this event, I will present the agenda for this afternoon's webinar. The first one, we will begin with the opening session, followed by welcoming remarks. After that, we will dive into today's webinar. And lastly, we will conclude with a group photo session. So next, we will proceed to listen to the welcoming address to be delivered by the head of the Department of Management, Dr. Brigitta Melianti Sulungbudi, Ph.D. Please.
Okay, please allow me to talk in Indonesia. Pak Ferry, saya sudah, ya, Pak Ferry adalah teman lama saya. Saya sudah banyak mendapat support dari Pak Ferry dari sejak saya berada di Australia menempuh S3 saya, termasuk yang memompa semangat saya untuk menyelesaikan studi ketika sedikit menemui masalah S3 waktu dulu. Dan saya senang sekali kemudian bertemu kembali dengan Pak Ferry beberapa waktu lalu dalam pertemuannya APDMI atau APMMI ya, saya lupa.
APDMI.
APDMI ya, betul ya, di Palembang ya Pak ya. Ya, Pak Ferry adalah dosen di Australia sudah lama sekali, dan beliau, saya tadi ngobrol juga dengan Pak Fernando bahwa Pak Ferry itu khas sekali kalau ngasih target, bukan target yang cemen ya Pak Ferry ya. Target itu harus beneran serius, dan kita harus berusaha, percaya diri untuk mencapainya. Termasuk diantaranya adalah menulis di high rank journals. Ya, itu adalah hal yang harusnya menjadi pencapaian semua akademisi gitu ya Pak Ferry ya. Dan ya, setiap bertemu saya selalu mendapat pompaan semangat dan ditagih oleh Pak Ferry, mana nih gitu ya, ayo kita kerjasama. Baik, dan saya selalu senang untuk itu, nggak pernah menghindar Pak Ferry, selalu senang untuk mendapatkannya, untuk mengingatkan semua orang yang ada di sini bahwa ya, sebagai academician, sebagai students juga, kita perlu untuk memenuhi kewajiban kita, tetapi sekaligus memompa diri kita untuk mencapai hal yang barangkali kita sendiri berpikir akan sulit mencapai ke sana. Tapi sulit itu bukan berarti tidak bisa. Begitu ya Pak Ferry ya. Jadi sulit itu bagaimanapun harus menjadi tantangan. Nggak boleh kita itu berada di zona nyaman terus-menerus gitu ya Pak Ferry ya. Dengan demikian, dengan menyadari itu, saya menyambut dengan sangat senang ketika Bu Vera mengatakan bahwa Pak Ferry lagi di Indonesia loh gitu. Beberapa waktu yang lalu, saya bilang oke, kalau beliau masih ada waktu, tolong diundang aja ke kita gitu ya, karena memang ya saya sudah berkali-kali juga kan ngobrol sama Pak Ferry ya. Suatu saat nanti saya akan undang Pak Ferry untuk datang. Dan sebelum Pak Ferry betul-betul hadir secara fisik di kampus kami, kampus tercinta kami, ya saat ini Pak Ferry hadir secara online untuk kami, untuk berbagi ilmu, dan harapannya kelanjutan dari pertemuan kali ini kita betul-betul membuat sebuah workshop untuk penulisan, dan harapannya nantinya kita bisa menghasilkan beberapa paper yang berkualifikasi tinggi gitu ya. Kalau Q3 cemen kata Pak Ferry, kita harus targetkan Q1 dan Q2 gitu ya Pak ya. Jadi itu adalah target kita. Harapannya hari ini kita semua bersemangat dan menjadi lebih percaya diri untuk menawarkan ide kita, tulisan kita, dan kemudian mengolahnya nanti. Harapannya tadi Pak Ferry mengatakan kita targetkan 12 at least gitu ya Pak ya, paper untuk dapat diterbitkan atas nama either program diploma kita, program magister kita, atau oleh staff academician kita. Begitu. Saya nggak akan berpanjang-panjang, tetapi tolong manfaatkan kehadiran Pak Ferry hari ini. Saya senang sekali Pak Ferry bisa bersama kami dan berbagi ilmu. Pastinya akan bermanfaat. Terima kasih Pak Ferry atas kehadirannya. Dan untuk semua students, tolong dimanfaatkan ya. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Brigita, for your outstanding welcome. So for the next, ladies and gentlemen, today we have come together to learn and enhance our skills in conducting research and crafting scholarly works, all the while gaining a deeper understanding of the process of publishing our writings and renowned journals. In this webinar, we explore a topic highly relevant to each of us who aims to publish our writings in the form of journals. We will deal into various strategies and tips that will help us better in research and scholarly writing. For this event, we have invited an esteemed expert and leading thinker who has possessed extensive experience in this field. He will share his knowledge with us, enabling us to better grasp the processes required to publish works in the prestigious journal. So, ladies and gentlemen, now I am honored to introduce our moderator for today's webinar, Mr. Fernando Mulia. Mr. Fernando Mulia is a highly accomplished individual with a strong academic background in both management and business. He graduated for Parahyangan Catholic University's Faculty of Economics with a Bachelor of Economics degree in 2006 and earned his Master Computer Science degree in 2008. He is currently pursuing a Doctor of Economics degree at the same Parahyangan Catholic University. In addition to his academic achievements, Fernando has also held several strategic positions at Parahyangan Catholic University from 2014 to 2017. He was also trusted as the head of various academic and student activities, both at the national and international levels. Fernando is also active in various activities and holds several national and international certifications. And since 2020, he was appointed as a Deputy Executive Director for ASEAN Learning Network. Fernando is a highly respected expert in his field, and I am confident that he will moderate today's event in a way that is both informative and engaging. Please join me in welcoming Fernando Mulia to the main screen.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for the introduction. Now it is time for me to introduce our speaker today. Dr. Ferry, Associate Professor in Supply Chain and Logistic Management at the School of Business and Law at Cowan University, Australia. Dr. Ferry received his PhD from the University of Sydney in 2008. He also holds a Master and Bachelor of Industrial Engineering. Dr. Ferry is highly accomplished researcher and educator with a proven track record of success. He has published more than 55 reference journal articles. 55, okay. Amazing. Including 31 articles in Q1 rank journal and 23 articles in Q2 rank journal. That is why Dr. Brigitta said that Dr. Ferry is never aim low, always aim high, and he achieved it. Yeah, some of his notable research title included Two Ways or Not Two Ways, exploring motivational factor of Generation Z hospitality employee toward food waste in the hospitality industry, dynamic recovery policy for time-critical supply chains under condition of ripple effect, linking supply chain practices to competitive advantage, an example from Australian agribusiness, and many more. If I read all of his CVs, is 16 pages long. I'd like to add some information. Dr. G citation in Google Scholar is 3,168. That's only from the Google Scholar with H index is 32. It's very high, actually. Dr. Ferry is renowned expert in the field of supply chain and logistic management, and his work has had a significant impact on both academia and also industry. He is a highly sought-after speaker and consultant and has regularly presented in his research at international conferences and also workshops. Many of the experience already in his CV is all around the world. In Indonesia, it's countless. I think Dr. Ferry come to Indonesia frequently. Yeah, in addition to his research and teaching, Dr. Ferry is also actively involved in the professional community. He is a secretary to the Chartered Institute Logistic and Transport Western Australia, committee and member of the Supply Chain Logistic Association of Australia. He is dedicated to promoting the field of supply chain and logistic management in Australia and around the world. I'm particularly excited to introduce Dr. Ferry G to you today because of his expertise in area of research and also academic writing. He has published extensively top academic journal, and he is a highly sought-after speaker and consultant of the topics. Okay, in addition to his research and academic writing, Dr. Ferry is also actively involved in the industry. He is a frequent contributor to industry publication. His area research interests from supply chain, logistic management, operation, production management, quantitative management, operation, research management, science, quality management, Lean Six Sigma, strategic management, and project management. Actually, this is quite similar with Dr. Brigitta and myself area, especially here. Yeah, so I believe Dr. Ferry will share his insight and expertise in a way that both informative and engaging. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ferry G to this center screen to speak about the topic of improve research and academic writing skill, guide to getting published in a reputable journal. Dr. Ferry, the screen is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Fernando. All right. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to the faculty, to the program, Ibu May, as well as Ibu Farah, to invite me to give a presentation and slightly the mini workshop for how to publish top-tier international journals and some strategies and tactics. As the moderator has introduced me, this is my email and also WhatsApps. I'm more than happy to work together for researcher if you publish in the area of the management. As the moderator mentioned about research, my research field. So if you look at my Google Scholar and citation. So I published since I finished my doctorate degree. And before that, I also published in the top tier international conferences. These particular strengthened for my research contribution to the society, including industry, government, as well as in academic or theoretical underpinning. So before start, just want to give, I'm more than happy to share my slide to all of you. So everybody knows what's the research. So research, according to Professor Bennett in 1991, it is a systematic and careful inquiry or examination to discover new informations or relationship and to expand, verify existing knowledge for some specified purpose. Now, when I just mentioned about the research, so all of you here, you know, the research project is a very important, especially you want to convert that all your thesis, all your dissertation, all your report, the industry report back to the academic publication. So I published more than up to now, more than 77 journal articles in the last maybe 10 years. I published more than 47 in Q1 and also the rest is Q2. So unfortunately, I am no longer published in Q3 and Q4 to maintain my reputation in that particular publications in the area of supply chain, sustainability, management, strategy management, operation management, innovation strategy, etc. So everybody knows why we publish our work research in the journal conferences. So back then in 2008 and 9, when I had you know, what we call Summit Research Project in Canberra. So Professor Chen suggested, mentioned that why we publish in the top tier journal. There are four things we want to see the reasons why we publish the top tier journal. The first one is what contribution, your research to the new body of knowledge. So most of you, when you do examination or oral examination for your thesis or dissertation, one of particular question might you receive from the examiner, what's contribution from your research to the body of knowledge? What contribution your research to the practitioners, right? And that's something you have to think about it. When you know that the contribution, then you'll be able to write, in your paper. And number two is you become popular in your particular areas. So for example, I mentioned to Ibu May and also Bu Farah, your goal, you become a professor guru besar, right? So you become popular in your research or in your particular area. And the number three is to see your H index or general impact. Number four, of course, you want to get promotion in university, right? So in Indonesia, if you want to get guru besar, based on KUM, then you need to, get published in a good journal, right? I mentor quite a lot of significant Indonesia scholars. They all receive a guru besar, right? So one of those from UPH, right? Professor Dina. And number two is from Pajajaran University. And number three from Diponegoro University, now become Professor Aris Susanti. She's from industrial engineering. And one, my former student, Pak Ilyas Masudin, he's a professor from Muhammadiyah Malang University, UMM. And several scholars have published together with Indonesia scholars. We want to promote strengthen publication, increase the publication research output in your university or your faculty. Right. So what strategies when you publish in the top tier journal? The first thing you need to understand the needs of the leading journal. Understand who the audience are. Now, are you comfortable if you still don't understand when I present in English, I'm more than happy to speak Bahasa Indonesia. I can speak Bahasa very well. And if you want to ask questions, so you can use Bahasa Indonesia. So please let me know. The main thing is for you for this session is you need to ensure to understand, mengerti, dan memahami, dan mengaplikasikan di dalam menulis jurnal. Okay? Dalam saat ini saya memberikan strategi di dalam penulisan jurnal bereputasi. So, first thing kita mengerti kira-kira audience yang membaca jurnal itu siapa. Understand kebutuhan daripada jurnal, right? For example, I can show it to you very quickly. I'm currently editor for the International Journal of Agile and System Management. So editor, special guest editor as well as editor board for In the Science publisher. It's Q2. It's a very good journal, right? That is particular, we need to understand the scope of the journal in terms of the field of the area as well as who the audience is. There are two types of audience to read the journal paper. The first, what we call the academic scholars, or practitioner or from government people or industry people. So majority for publisher like Emerald Insight, Taylor and Francis, Elsevier, In the Science, all the top publishers, more than 75% the audiences are from academic scholar, right? Now, my experience as a reviewer, my experience as editor, what my expectation. So I collect a lot of information from the reviewers, editors, what they particularly like when they review the paper, when they read the paper. So for example, if you publish in Q1, Q2, so in your paper, you have a literature review, right? So the first thing they really want to see the literature review. Artinya di dalam tesis dan disertasi Bapak dan Ibu ada namanya kita studi pustaka, landasan teori di bab 2 harus mempunyai theoretical contribution as well as a very strong critical thinking in that literature review section. I'm more than happy to give you, video presentation if you have time. What does it mean? We write, critic, interpretive writing, right? So my colleague from Melbourne Uni, he also have a video presentation about 8 minutes to share with us, to write, critical thinking or interpretive, in academic, writing. So that's a literature review is very important. So if you write only description and, it's a shopping list, for example, right? Doesn't sound very good, literature review section in your paper. The second thing is your background and introduction. So for all of you, when you start doing your PhD or master thesis, you got the topic, right? So when you got the topic, basically how we determine the topic, basically you need to find a good journal, you read the topic, and then on the back of that paper, you can see what the future research, and that future research really in line in your particular field and specialty in your area, then you can suggest and propose that topic to your supervisors. So then once you select the topic, you need to justify, provide the rationale why this topic is important. So this particular important you need to write in the first page of that journal article. This is what we call background, introduction, or the rationale of the study. Jadi Bapak dan Ibu kalau menemukan topik, perlu memikirkan mengapa topik itu penting. Nah, dari sana kita melihat novelty of your research. Kalau di dalam justifikasi, di dalam background rational study or significant research is very shallow, artinya sangat dangkal dan tidak komprehensif, itu that something is very hard to go to even level Q2 or even Q1 is so difficult. So because they need to see strong rationale, significant or justification of the topic what you have selected. Yang ketiga, the third thing is your background, the research method. So when you do unit subject research method, there are two research methods, what we call quantitative and qualitative, right? I'm supervising more than I think 20 research students now. I think so many of my research students currently they are in quantitative. They're using structural equation modeling, they're using partial least square, they use mathematical modeling, simulation, operation research, etc. Right? And some of my students also doing qualitative. They use Leximensa, they use NVivo, they use a depth interview, focus group, or Delphi method, etc. And pretty much my research method is more mixed method, quantitative as well as qualitative, right? So when you have in your chapter 3, in the third section of your paper, we need to see why and what research designer method you are applying for. Why that structure equation modeling is there. So now back to the point number 4, we need to have high quality data, strong results. Meaning if you have data, you want to do data analysis in statistical analysis, you only have a survey back to your research, maybe only 75, right? Now, we need to get more data, need to have a quality data, especially you have a lot of variables there. So for example, you got 6 or 7 variables, you only got a survey back about 65 or 75, it's not enough. So you need to think about it, how many % response rate for your research. You need to have a high quality data and strong results. This is very difficult for all of us. The next point is a strong theoretical contribution, strong practical contribution. In your thesis and dissertation, you need to name and specify what theoretical contribution for your thesis from your dissertation, what practical contribution. So must be clear, right? So for example, my thesis, when I did my PhD, my master by research, all my research project, I mentioned it, the contribution to the theory, contribution to the practitioners, right? And interesting research idea and creative, right? So I give more details later on after this slide. And advanced data analysis approach, meaning that if you do data analysis, if you are a quantitative person, you only do maybe descriptive statistics or summary statistics. Is that enough? So especially if you have hypothesis justification, your conceptual model, and theoretical underpinning, and then you only have descriptive statistics, is not enough. So you need to maybe more, details, comprehensive your data analysis process. So if you do regression, if you do, for example, structure equation modeling, so you need to follow the proper process, right? Check the testing of the regression analysis. For example, check the outliers, check the linearity, normality, etc. Right? Reliability of factor analysis. For example, I examine one of doctorate student. When I read through the thesis or dissertation, wow, that research design did not follow the proper process. Doesn't have a reliability, doesn't have factor analysis, and then come up with the regression model, come up with the structure equation model. So, that particular something missing, right, in your paper or in your thesis or dissertation. For your paper, it's very important you need to follow the author guideline, good presentation in terms of this logical, clear, and concise, right? So this is a very important. First thing, you need to determine what journal you want to submit. So for example, I've been working very closely, a lot of Indonesia scholars from UNPAR and from Unsri in Palembang and with UGM in Yogyakarta. And so with my doctorate student, my doctorate student, they graduated already, but we still work together to publish together. So basically, they discuss with me what journal we want to publish, what journal we want to submit. So once we determine that journal, we need to look at carefully, check the author guideline, check the scope of the journal, check the audience, download some of good papers there, which are related to your topic. How many papers? Maybe 4 or 5, because we need to cite to those topic into our paper. So, artinya begini, kalau kita mau submit paper kita di jurnal, seperti contoh jurnal saya, International Journal of Agile and System Management, di dalam references listnya Bapak dan Ibu, tidak ada satupun jurnalnya International Journal of Agile and System Management. Jadi, sense belongingnya tidak ada. Jadi, kalau kita mau publish di dalam jurnal, kita perlu mensitasi. Ada 2 minimum jurnal artikel yang related with our topic. So that's why Bapak dan Ibu di dalam seminar webinar ini, saya sarankan kalau kita memproduce good paper, kalau bisa Bapak dan Ibu punya reference list-nya jurnal-jurnal yang bukan jurnal yang abal-abalan. Artinya jurnal yang predatory atau jurnal yang artinya predatory jurnal gini yang dalam bell list ya. Jadi misalnya Bapak dan Ibu submit nih. Dalam waktu 10 menit dia bilang, "Congratulations, your paper has been accepted." Nanti dalam 10 menit kemudian dia kirim invoice karena harus bayar segala macam. Nah, itu artinya predatory karena tidak dilakukan peer review or double blind peer review process. Okay? So it's very, very important. So can I please suggest to all of you, especially students, you need to work very closely with your supervisor dengan promotor. Jadi promotornya juga tahu kira-kira jurnal apa, promotornya juga tahu kira-kira submitnya, jangan nyelonong harus submit tanpa persetujuan dari promotor. Ya. So, and what I suggest to you, the major reasons that paper got rejected. Artinya banyak paper yang telah ditolak itu karena kalau kita bicara dengan research problem, research question, research objective, banyak sekali semua research question itu is not important, maybe not interesting. And in line with the hypothesis, we talk about quantitative paper, empirical paper, hypothesis without theory or insufficient theoretical justification for hypothesis. And number 3, even though you got good hypothesis, but the methods cannot answer your research question, that is a very, very important, you have to fix immediately your research method. Yang keempat, di dalam empirical kontribusinya sangat lemah karena datanya mungkin cuma 75 data dan kemudian pakai data analisisnya juga tidak proper, right? Jadi data with poor quality. So, of course, we need to know specific requirement of your target journal. Okay. So can I just share with you, yeah, Pak Fernando and the rest of you? This is a very good cohesive, critical, and interpretive writing. So the video presentation does not take too long. So hopefully, you know, maybe 7 and 8 minutes, right? So hopefully you'll be able, but unfortunately dalam bahasa Inggris, yeah? So can I just share with the video presentation, everyone? 1 second. So this is yang saya bilang tadi SGR ya. Jadi SGR itu Simago Journal Ranking System. Jadi Bapak dan Ibu kalau mau publish Q1, Q2, Q1 itu memang it's the top rank of the journal in many field. Jadi ada different kind of all subject area, and then you can see also accounting, etc. So many you can search, right? So now, can we go back to the video presentation?
There are three important elements to academic writing: critique, interpretation, and cohesion. We'll look at each of these in turn. First, critique. What is it? Engaging with information. It's about analysing the message, questioning it, synthesising, responding. Where does it start? With the reading and research. And it's really important you take good notes. I recommend colour coding, highlighting things that you want to use in your writing. What does it consist of? There are two elements. One, a reporting element where you describe the idea that you're researching, that you're writing about. And two, crucially, a response element where you critically engage with, you react to the research, the idea. A lot of people do the descriptive part very well, but a lot of people don't put enough time into the critical engagement part. And that's what we're focusing on here. So let's look at a layered paragraphing approach. Take 30 seconds to read through this first part. What we'll see is it's a descriptive part of the writing where we're talking about what Brent found in the study. Look at the next part. The middle section is the critique part where you can put in some of your response to what Brent found. In this case, you're using another author, Lee, and Lee makes note of a limitation to Brent's study. The third part is a solution section where you're providing another author, James, who talks about what would have made the study more illustrative. And right at the very end, we're providing some positive critique about James's study. It's pivotal, longitudinal, it's a multi-facility broad scope study. We're using positive language. What this gives us is a narrative thread through the writing. It links one part to the next part in a layered approach, which is very readable and easy to understand. What might we critique? Well, there are many things we can look at. The method, assumptions, bias, sample size is an easy one. How big or how small, how many people participated in the study. The claims that the research makes, the applicability of the findings, whether we can replicate it in other areas of other places of study. The long-term effects are unknown, or the gaps, what the study didn't look at. So identify these things as you read, make notes of them, and colour code these notes. So you could even work up some type of system where you can colour code the things that are really important to use and the things that you may not use. Let's look at another layered paragraphing approach. Take some time to read what Chuo found. Look at the middle section, read through that, and the final section. You'll see a similar thing going on to the first paragraph sample we looked at, where we have a description section. It's a natural place to start to describe what you're finding, a critique, and a solution. Now, a crucial difference between this example and the first example is that the critique this time comes from you and the solution comes from you. So you have choices here in your critique. You can write the critique through different authors where you state.
Jadi di dalam contoh ini, di dalam penulisan paragraf, dia menyatakan kalau kita menuliskan ada sifatnya deskripsi. Deskripsi kita baca, kita merangkumkan dari artikel yang kita baca, masukin di dalam journal paper kita. Itu is not enough. Not enough only for description. Description itu dari kita contoh Chuo 2016 mengatakan bahwa student, ya, jadi itu kan deskripsi. Jadi cuma memindahkan. Hati-hati kalau memindahkan bukan copy and paste. If you use Turnitin, if you do copy and paste, it's gonna be captured by 100%. Or maybe I don't know how many percent. So every time it's better you can check Turnitin, make sure do not copy and paste. And also do not use ChatGPT. If you use ChatGPT or Chat AI, you copy 100%. Whatever you submit to the good journal, that's one of declaration statements that do not, are you using ChatGPT or Chat AI when you do write this paper? If you tick no, and suddenly one of the author, menggunakan ChatGPT, that's going to be a problem. Okay? So, yang kedua, jadi yang ada tanda warna hijau, itu dia bilang tadi kritik ya. Dan yang warna biru itu solution. Jadi ini merupakan, inilah yang namanya kita menulis dengan high level, ya, yang kita bisa ke Q1 dan Q2. Jadi itu sebagai contoh. Mari kita dengar lagi selanjutnya, oke?
What somebody else has said about the research, or you can make the comment yourself. Again, this layered approach gives us our narrative thread through the writing. So, let's look at some examples of critique language. We could have limitation-based language, negative critique. We can have strengths-based, positive critique. We can look at synthesizing between different studies, looking at similarity and difference or agreement and disagreement between authors. We can look at constructive suggestions, solutions.
Oke, so Bapak dan Ibu, jadi ini merupakan contoh di dalam bahasa Inggris. Di dalam critical thinking, di dalam menulis, itu bisa membandingkan similarity dan differences. Itu ada contoh. Jadi Bapak dan Ibu bisa screenshot ya. Nanti saya akan kasih ke panitia Ibu Vera dan Ibu Mei dengan link presentasi ini. Jadi Bapak dan Ibu bisa pakai sebagai contoh kalau similarity difference seperti itu. Jadi kita gunakan kata seperti ini. Similarly, ya. Unlike. Jadi kritik itu ada dua. Ada yang negatif, ada yang positif. Jadi yang positif itu kita memberikan appraise kepada paper yang kita baca. Misalnya, this was significant. Atau kita bisa bicara author sebelumnya benar-benar menunjuk ya point correctly points out. And negative critic, you can say that limitasi, problems, dan mungkin menjadi pertanyaan gitu loh ya. Nah ini sebagai contoh.
Really, really good resource for this is the Academic Phrase Bank with the URL on the screen. That gives you a huge bank of this type of language.
Hey parents, me again. Want to see what a premium membership is all about?
Sorry about the ads.
We also have particular verbs we use which can suggest or really give a good message about our critical tone. If we feel neutral or we feel that the author feels neutral about something, we use those words like argues or suggests. On the other hand, if we feel quite strongly about this, we'll be using words like stresses, proposes, urges. There's a good bank of verbs that you can use. Let's move on to interpretation. What is it? It's where you comment on the meaning or significance of something. Why do it? Well, it shows why we've made a point, why something is worth writing about, why it's important. It moves our writing, crucially, from simple description into interpretation and being critical again. When should we do it? Well, whenever we need to signal significance to the reader. Let's look at some examples. And we can see that the black part of the sentence is the descriptive part, and the blue part gives us our interpretive language. This was significant because it draws our attention to. Another example, we can see the language again, which is crucial as what this points to, what this suggests that. And what that does, if you look at it carefully, when you're using that language, it's you providing the interpretation. You're basically saying what I think this points to without saying I think. And there's that language again highlighted. There.
Okay, so Bapak dan Ibu tadi interpretive ya, tadi kritik interpretive language ini memberikan sebagai contoh kalau kita menulis dalam bahasa Inggris seperti contoh this illustrates, this is important, you know, and that's the list of the example interpretive language.
There is a lot of this type of language we can use. It's vital, it illustrates, this is significant. And I really, really strongly recommend you use this language. Again, 2 reasons. It moves your writing from descriptive to interpretive, and it gives you a voice. And your academic markers want to see evidence of both of those things. Finally, cohesion. What is it? It's the quality of connection and linking between our ideas in our work. It provides flow and sequence in our writing. It helps make message clear, very crucial. How do we show cohesion? Well, it's the style of language we use, the signal markers. Let's look at some examples. We can use linkers, typically and, which, therefore. We can also use what we call referent links. Words like this, which relates back to a point before it, that the method was successful. In the second example, the it relates to the focus being on the method. So we don't have to repeat that phrase, we can use that referent link. And these are very powerful, again, because they provide that narrative thread through the text and links back to things that have been said, written about before. So let's look at some of the cohesive language we can use to show relationship and connection in our writing. We use thesis statements. They give us cohesion at the macro level, the whole paper level. We can use topic sentences, which give us cohesion in our sections, and they will usually come at the head of paragraphs. Then we use sentence-level cohesive devices, connectors, linkers, like the ones there, sequences to show sequence in our work, first, second, finally, and then words like it, he, she, the researcher, the paper, referring back to things we've already established. I want you to take 30 seconds to read through this example. Have a think about how this writing reads to you. Is it cohesive? Is it linked? Is it fluent? Let's look at the same paragraph with some crucial differences. We have linkers serving as joining devices, joining the sentences together, providing that flow and giving us that relationship. You can see those linkers as a result, which show causal relationship, therefore causal relationship, and is a linking device. We also have our importance markers, the ones that show interpretation. This is important. In light of this, this highlights that, what this points to, and what you can see, and this is the same paragraph as the one before, with the linkers and the importance markers put in, the content's the same. What this does, it gives us our narrative thread. It gives us our cohesion and our interpretation. It makes our writing much more powerful. So, 3 important elements to academic writing. Critique, we engage with and respond to the ideas. Interpretation, where we state significance, we have a voice, we go beyond description. And cohesion, we have our narrative thread, link, and flow. So, how can I get better? How can I improve? Read. You need to do a lot of reading, both academic and for pleasure. Look at models. There are plenty online. Look at these essays online for language, style, and structure. Do not copy them. They're for educative purposes only. Past papers, your tutor may give you access to these. And feedback. Listen to what is being said about.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you look at just giving you a summary before we move on to the next slide, what you can see, he presented you know, three different style while you're writing. So in not necessarily in a literature review, but also in the background, introduction, discussion, results, etc. So he just giving us good, you know, suggestion. The thing is, we need to read a lot of papers, especially the articles related in your area, in your topic. And the more you read and you more understanding and also building up your style for your writing. So critique, interpretation, and cohesion, right? So this section, I want to talk about the literature. So I mentioned to Ibu Farah, usually the literature review in the research workshop, normally I sit down one-on-one. That's what we call writing retreat and coaching. So I have to read the paper and basically I need to sit down and then giving comments, any improvement. And this particular very, very important to look at the reviewing the literature. So I need to see physically or your paper. So when you review the literature, the roles of literature in research, basically you look at the entire basis of the research, the topic, and what a source of idea on topic for research. Artinya apa? Kita melihat sumber dari ide dan topik yang penelitian yang kita lakukan. Yang ketiga adalah sumber informasi dari penelitian yang sudah dilakukan, right, oleh researcher by others. Dan yang keempat, melihat dari metodologi dan juga theoretical ideas. Apakah menggunakan stakeholder theory, institution theory, resource-based view theory, theory of constraint, or theory, any kind of theories, you know, you'll be able to look at a source of methodology theoretical idea. Dan juga kita melihat perbandingan antara penelitian kita dengan penelitian yang sebelumnya. Dan juga a source of information yang merupakan integral dan supportive part of the research. Jadi kita melihat contohnya sebagai data on the local market, for example. So, ini contoh dari beberapa literatur, sumbernya bisa dari library, publish index, electronic database, ProQuest, Emerald Insight, Internet, Google Scholar, etc. So you know that, okay? So this is just example the literature review. Basically, most of PhD scholars using it. When you read, you need to understand what the aim or objective of the paper and what theory is there, what method, what's the results, and then you can put the reference there. So can I please suggest to you when you collect the paper from the other journal, if you want to publish in a Q1, Q2, and you got so many in your reference list, paper yang Q4, Q3 atau Sinta, atau yang sifatnya local paper dari Indonesia. Jadi, Bapak dan Ibu, saya sarankan di dalam referensi jangan menggunakan, apalagi kita mengirim ke jurnal internasional, jangan menggunakan banyak yang publikasi yang sifatnya pakai bahasa Indonesia. Karena bule-bule tidak mengerti. It must be translated to English, even though if you have peraturan pemerintah, undang-undang, kebijakan, policy, once you write in Indonesia, then you need to translate in English, right? So, the only thing you want to publish in Q1, Q2, jadi Bapak dan Ibu jangan punya semua reference listnya di dalam daftar pustaka yang semuanya Q4. Dan Bapak dan Ibu maunya submit ke Q1. Yang mana mau mereka yang Q1 mau terima. Karena semua reference listnya yang semua Q4. Memang quality-nya in that level. Right? So, what I suggest to you, trying to get a good journal, good papers for your research. Right? And the next thing is, because the time, I'm more than happy to give you the video. You'll be able to listen tonight, maybe tomorrow, for this video about the literature review. Okay, so this video is a very good to listen and giving you practical knowledge when you write the literature review. Now, this is very important, okay, in terms of structure. Jadi kalau Bapak Ibu menulis paper, perlu memahami struktur. Struktur di dalam penulisan itu yang pertama kita harus tahu target jurnal apa, aims, tujuan, dan scope jurnalnya apa. Jadi kalau Bapak Ibu penelitiannya di bidang accounting atau reporting, cost management, finance, for example, you need to understand the scope. Even for financial management is a lot. There could be budgeting, it could be forecasting, it could be investment, banking, you know, we need to understand the scope. Yang kedua, begitu sudah tahu jurnal apa, kita download auto guideline. Kita ikuti. Auto guideline itu meliputi penulisan, font size, margin, space, referencing format. We are using APA 7 or Harvard, different kind of the referencing style. So we have to follow that. Yang ketiga, cek semua referencing. Tadi saya sudah bicara mengenai text reference, grammatical and spelling. You know that we use Grammarly, right? You'll be able to check your grammar and spelling. Yang keempat, typically if you want to double check whether your paper does fit the scope of that journal, so I strongly recommend you to contact your email editor. Just very short, a brief abstract from your paper, whether or not, you know, the editor interested, you know, can tell you whether it does fit or it does not fit. So basically, I always use that because I can have a good understanding and good the expectation of the editor, right? So for example, jadi Bapak Ibu mau submit ke jurnal saya. Jadi Bapak Ibu boleh email ke saya whether that paper is suitable for the journal. Begitu cocok, saya akan kirim reply cocok dan Bapak dan Ibu ke manuskrip online submission dan Bapak Ibu ikutin prosesnya. Dan begitu sudah ikutin prosesnya, Bapak dan Ibu sudah mulai coba menunggu biasanya bisa 1-3 bulan untuk review proses. Kalau di dalam jurnal saya biasanya rata-rata 1,5 bulan. Jadi begitu papernya sudah masuk, dicek di screening system, make sure there's no plagiat, check everything. Within 48 hours, everything you pass on the screening process. And then the paper saya cek sebagai editor, kemudian baru saya assign reviewers. Biasanya reviewernya antara 2-3 orang. Ada juga jurnal sampai 5 orang. Banyak sekali ya 5. Dan setelah itu, tunggu selama 1,5-2 bulan maksimum. Semua reviewernya setuju mau mereview, dia akan kirim report ke saya. Begitu report ke saya akan kasih formula. Kalau saya punya 3, 2 mengatakan decline, 1 mengatakan accept, saya unfortunately say no. So unfortunately, I have to just return back to you, your paper declined due to that the following the reviewer's report, right? Now, kalau saya punya 2, 1 mengatakan ya, 1 mengatakan tidak, dan saya harus baca dan review, dan saya harus memberikan keputusan. Banyak kan orang bilang, wah menurut Ferry J apa nih? Kalau 1 mengatakan iya, 1 mengatakan tidak, lebih cenderung ke tidak, apa lebih cenderung ke ya? Well, it's very hard to tell you, right? So I have to read, and that particular what's my judgment. So I cannot just follow tidak, for example, right? So how many percent? I don't know, right? Depends on the topic, depends on the paper, depends on, you know, so many different things I have to just consider. All right. So kira-kira paper yang paling lama yang saya pernah itu sampai 5 ronde. 5 ronde gini. Ronde pertama saya mendapat perbaikan, saya kirim within 2 months. Ronde kedua saya dapat perbaikan lagi, ya. Akhirnya sampai ronde ketiga, sampai ronde kelima, saya ladenin. Akhirnya reviewernya capek sendiri, oke? Dan editor bilang, okay, your paper actually accepted. Oh, very surprised. Saya sudah ronde kelima, tetapi semuanya major revision. Saya pikir, wah ini pasti ronde ke-6 nih, pasti. Karena dari major kan mesti ke minor dulu, baru bisa diterima. Ini major, karena miracle nih, langsung tiba-tiba langsung di-accept. Jadi melangkahi minor revision. Jadi saya pikir, wah maybe this is the reviewers capek sendiri dia. Mungkin daripada berkutat ini, udah deh saya terima aja gitu. Okay, no problem. I'm more than happy. Sudah kita perbaikin, kita bikin final version, and we submit, we fill out the copyright form, you know. Now, the paper under IJASM is a free of charge. It's under my journal. It's in the science, is a free of charge. You don't need to pay. A lot of papers in the journal, unfortunately, they charge what they call article publication, APC or whatever. Sometimes they charge you in US dollars, in some euro, I do not know, okay? So under in the science, typically majority, if you don't want like your paper is open access, it's just like normal, so you don't need to pay, okay? Now, the first thing is after you write the abstract, and then you got introduction. Introduction itu biasanya kurang lebih 2 halaman, and then literature review between, you know, 3 and 5 pages. And methods. Now, di dalam jurnal itu biasanya paper kita menggunakan kata. How many words? Between 7,000 words until 12,000 words. So basically for the business, economic, management, accounting, and finance, on average is 7,000 or 8,000 words. Can we have 20,000 words? No, right? Typically one article, usually, you know, if you have a 10,000 word, it's too much already. So basically we want that 8,000, 8,500 should be okay. So the methods, typically 1.5 pages maximum. If you have like 6 pages, too much, right? Results and discussion, usually 3 and 5 pages, right? And then conclusion, basically you have 1 page, includes a limitation, recommendation, or, you know, contribution, etc. And then acknowledgement meaning that if you receive grants from government and you can acknowledge that in your paper, you can write in a paragraph, for example, this research project was funded by Indonesia government, right? You can say that what number your research grant, etc. So that's something you acknowledge that your research project actually funded by government or funded by industry. So you can acknowledge that. Then you have contribution to practitioners, contribution to the body of knowledge. Now, the process, I think previously I mentioned also about the process. So this is basically, I mentioned to Ibu Ferry as well, my Ibu May. Basically, if you do face-to-face with me, usually I have 2 hours demo, right? Demo artinya sampai di dalam submit papernya. Submit papernya maksudnya saya sampai ke manuscript online submission. We go through together. Itu kalau manuskrip online, apalagi Bapak dan Ibu yang pertama kali, biasanya first thing you have to register under Parahyangan University email address. And your affiliation is a Parahyangan University in Bandung, in West Java, for example. You have to identify the faculty and the program, etc., and the address, etc., and your username, password. Now, step 2, after you register and you got ORCID ID, then step 2, you need to log in and password and start begin submission. And then you need to type and copy and paste from your article, about abstract. So typically abstract is between 150 words until 200 words. So it depends how many words required for that paper, for that journal. So if you publish in the Emerald Insights, usually they need a structured abstract, meaning that paper abstract, you need to have aims, objectives, and then you need to have a methods, and you need to have the results, and then afterwards the practical, originality, etc. Right? And don't forget keywords. Keywords between 3 and 5 keywords. Keywords not from your title. Check the title, because some journal, they have a certain limit of words of the title. For example, one of the journal doesn't want the title more than 10 words. You have to check the title. Basically, we don't want the long title, the long sentence in that title. Now, after that step 3, after you have an abstract, you upload your file. It's anonymous, the title page, cover letter, and your figure, your tables if they need to. And after you upload them, then the step 4, you need to provide author lists. If you got 5 authors, great, you're working very closely with other people. If you have solo author, no problem. You have to provide author list. And step 5, and you have to identify how many words, how many tables, how many figures, how many, whether color or black or white, or whether this project has been funded, whether this paper you using ChatGPT or AI, any ethical clearance, etc. There's a certain question you have to answer those questions. And afterwards, right? Afterward, you check, and you have to before you give approval, you have to see the PDF whether it is okay, and you have to click submit button. Then within a minute or 2 minutes, you can see your email whether that paper is already in the system, right? Okay. So the do research project, where the proposal, data collection, analysis result, and write the paper, the target journal, download auto guideline, register. If you do have a Turnitin, please check similarity for your article. So how many percent, Ferry? Can we just do 45%, 50%? No, 45, 50% very dangerous. More than half of that article you copy from somebody else. No. Basically, we want that up to 2-digit, 10% is usually is a orange already, is a yellow. If you got green, is a below 10%. So one of the journals is very strict, because if you got 15 or 16%, even I test myself, that paper 16%, because I got quite a lot of fully quotation from the definition from the previous research. And unfortunately, they just a desk rejection, because it's a 16%. So you have to check the Turnitin, follow the step when you submit an article. I think I mentioned before, typically you have between 4 and 6 or 7 steps, right? And having proofreading for your article before submission. Who did that? So proofreading, basically you can ask the academic scholar, to give a feedback and whether they understand about your paper. It's good you have a proofreading. And to ensure you have cited at least 2 articles from the journal that you want to submit. So I think I mentioned before, check the authors, and so all authors have university or institution email address. And then check abstract, keywords, prepare the cover letter. So in the workshop, basically, I also show it to you, the simulation, how you submit, how you write the cover letter, and submit through Manuscript Central online. So it means that in any and you also have a consultation. So basically after you do consultation, and then I can see that paper is ready to go, I can give you good signal, and the next day you can submit. Okay. So when the next day you can submit, while I'm still in Bandung, for example, that I think when I talked to Ibu Farah, last month I went to Bandung, so Pajajaran University and UPI, UPI, isn't it? UPI. UPI, they organized a workshop. So basically the workshop is a one full day, and basically in the afternoon they have to do sit down one-on-one with me, and they have to submit that 1 or 2. I need 2. That paper need to be submitted before I'm flying back to Perth. So I spoken to Dean and have a program. Did they submit it already? If not, then can you please text them in the watch apps? So they have to submit because those paper is ready to submit. Do not wait. If that paper is fine, why you have to wait? So, and also you need to fix some of the papers you have to fix. I said, this is not ready. So you have to fix it. You have to revise. And then until everything's fine, then you'll be able to submit. So that is submit through Manuscript Central Online. Now, the review process is between 2 and 3 months. It depends. The longest I got a paper in published in Q1, which is A star, it took me, to be honest, 2.5 years is the review process. That's why I can tell you 5 rounds. Can you imagine it's 1 round? It took about 3-4 months. Multiplied by 5 is 20 months, right? So it's close to the 2 years until you got, official accepted that paper. And it's the most dangerous thing if your data is about technology, if, the data already you did it a few years back, and then you don't want that you publish, even though that paper accepted already. And then when they look at, wow, that data is too old, and that's why it's a very important, because especially you do research, yeah, maybe, a lot of lecturer in this webinar, if you have paper, especially related to the data, and the data and paper ready, just submit, rather than artinya papernya hanya di My Document atau di Google Drive, ya. So, kalau datanya itu empirical, apalagi data yang sifatnya teknologi, survey, apalagi berkaitan dengan policy mechanism, etc. So, do not wait. If you have any chance to get published quickly, that's the better and the merrier. Okay. So, usually 2-3 reviewers. So in my that's International Journal of Agile and System Management, when I was the editor for the special issues, I got a long list of the reviewers. Why I need to have a long list of reviewers? For example, one of reviewers is not available because taking study leave or sabbatical leave or long service leave. So I need to have backup. Yes. So I need to have a long list of reviewers. So in my database, I got more than 161 reviewers. So you got first round, revise, edit, and resubmit. So usually between 2 until 6 months, depends on the correction. So if you have a major correction or revision, so normally I'm giving you at least 3 months to revise. The longest what I got the paper is 6 months. Why? Because I asked the author, a researcher, to recollect the data more. But I like that paper because that paper got very good novelty, very good theoretical underpinning, contribution, very good in terms of the methods, But I just give a challenge for the author. Are you able to get more data? So that's why it takes maybe a long time and need to rewrite data analysis, need to rewrite the results. You know, if you get more data, maybe your results, you know, has been changed. And having a file, how to respond the reviewer feedback comments. So if we have the workshop, normally I have a session, how to respond the reviewer's comment. What does it mean? It means that if you receive the feedback, you have to respond the reviewer's comments and feedback. And I would like to teach you how to do that. You got two columns. First column is you copy all the comments from the reviewer. Second column, how do you address? So basically you need to write first sentence, say that thank you very much indeed for your valuable feedback comments. It's very good comments. On page 3 in my article, the sentence has been added, and you can see that, you can say that. And you mention it in the article. So you know that you got a revision. You have to upload 2 files. The file with the track changes, with any amendment. Second file is how to respond the reviewer's feedback comments. So if you got second round review, they're still not happy with that, and you have to do it the same again until your paper fully being accepted. So this is the example list of publication before we taking question and Q&A, Pak Fernando. So that's some of the list of example. For example, Pak Tarigan, that's a paper I mentor with Petra University in Surabaya. And the second one, paper with my doctorate students, and with my project, the fourth one, and the last one with my colleague from University of New South Wales. So those are Q1 papers. All right, so thank you very much indeed for listening. So I'm more than happy to take a lot of questions and feedback, and more than happy to answer any question. There are no silly questions. Please ask while I'm here, okay? And also, if you really need to have, that's my WhatsApp number. So the thing is, WhatsApp number, the rule is, it is good either you introduce yourself, because I got so many my WhatsApp list. Better to introduce yourself first, and then because otherwise I do not know you. Okay. At this moment, so many scam, unfortunately. So can you please, if you have any questions, you can speak in Bahasa, or you can speak in English or Sundanese. Unfortunately, I'm trying to. Yeah, so thank you so much. So I just go back to moderator, Pak Fernando Mulia. Thank you very much indeed for listening.
Dr. Ferry, what an inspiring session actually for me, for myself. Okay. First, I would like to open question for 3 questioner, I think, but the first one is already come from Dr. Maria Widyarini through the chat. The question is, what are the consideration for conceptual papers to be accepted in Q1 or Q2? Is it the same as research paper as well?
Very good question. Now, there are 2 types of papers, basically. The first, what we talk about, systematic literature, conceptual paper. It depends what field and what disciplines. Under management, and some of the journal, they specify clearly they only need to see empirical or results of that paper. If they only mention that, unfortunately, you don't have any room if you only have a conceptual paper. Meaning that if you only have systematic literature, future research agenda, bibliometric, whatever the paper, unfortunately, it does not fit the scope, because you have to see, and also you can search any papers they have, conceptual paper or literature review paper, etc. Now, for my journal, we accept both. We accept systematic literature review. Even my colleague published, well, I was the one, the author, but I cannot handle it because my name is there. It's a conflict of interest, right? Say, for example, Ibu May, Ibu Farah, and with myself, right? Or Ibu Maria. Now, can we publish in your paper? Yes, of course you can. If it does fit. The thing is, I'm not is handling editor. Jadi tidak bisa sebagai handling editor. Nanti saya bilang ke Professor John Moore, which is the chief editor. So let him decide who gonna be handling. Maybe him handling editor. So I'm definitely not taking anything in the system. Karena conflict of interest. Karena nama saya ada di author list. Yang kedua, berkaitan dengan Q2, Q3 atau Q4, well, a lot of papers under Q1, Q2, they accept also conceptual paper. According to my research, is typically up to 10%. Say, for example, if we got the list, maybe this is according to, the research congress in NYU in New York, because according to research, they mentioned a lot of conceptual paper under Q1/Q2, up to 10%. If you look at about 120, for example, Q1, Q2, maybe up to 10 journal, they accept, conceptual paper, maybe, because that formula, because up to 10%. Now, for the Q3, Q4, because they really like a lot papers, right? No problem, okay? Now, how do we identify that the journal will be accepted, that, applied research? So it's very easy if you look at, that the title of the journal. For example, the journal, International Journal of Logistics and Research and Application. If you got one word in the title about application, then whatever you do research about applied research, so many industry, opinion, industry research, then you'll be able to submit to that journal because they accept application, they accept applied business research, etc. Yeah. So yeah, it takes time for you when you have a conceptual paper. You basically need to double check because you do not want to get the desk rejection, and you don't want to be upset. So we want that our paper can go through, rather than desk rejection, because everybody scholars different. To me, Ibu May, ya, saya itu tahan banting. Jadi maksudnya kalau ditolak, no problem, ya. It is not the end of the world for me. A lot of opportunities for me. So I can revise and resubmit and then try to with another journal. So my attitude is never give up. Tidak mau menyerah. Dan juga pantang mundur. Nah, ini juga kalau saya berikan attitude ya sebagai akademis. Jadi saya punya prinsip ya, kalau papernya, kadang saya juga tahu ya Bu May, kalau paper saya sudah ditolak ini, saya tuh mau minta free feedback atau komen dari very very good reputable professors somewhere in US or in Europe. Saya sudah tahu pasti ditolak. Jadi walaupun sudah oke, saya terima kurang lebih 4 halaman dari reviewers, perbaikin ini, perbaikin ini, perbaikin ini. Ini ditolak, no problem. But please wait within 2 or 3 weeks. I revise and edit based on those comments. I publish to the brother or sister of that journal. Jadi Bu May ada, journal itu ada kakak adiknya, brother and sister. Saya punya journal itu ada brothernya. Ya. Jadi brother itu mungkin di dalam publisher yang sama, tapi scope-nya, jadi yang satu mungkin ada di, saya punya journal itu berkaitan dengan Asia Pasifik. Mungkin brother-nya itu international journal, semua negara bisa. Mau ke Eropa, Timur Tengah, it doesn't matter. Nah itu brother-nya. Tapi dia terima mengenai manajemen. Dia terima mengenai operation management. Dia terima mengenai system management, for example. Ya, oke. Oke, Pak Moderator, any questions?
Okay, Okay, we have one raised hand, Syed Mosafi. Please introduce yourself and then you may ask your question.
Hello, everybody. I'm Syed Musavi from Master of Business Administration at UNPAR. And first of all, let me say a thank you for this informative webinar. It was so
Sure.
useful. I got lots of information. And Professor, I have 3 questions. One thing that you mentioned, it was about the novelty of the research. This is what lots of students are confused about, particularly students like me who doesn't have enough experience in this context. I want to know what is a good novelty and what is not a good novelty. For example, if a research has been done in another country, if we do this in our country, can it be considered as a good novelty for example, for Q2 journal or not? And the second question is, what is better if, for example, a student have published 2 or 3 papers in Q4 or Q3 or 1 in Q1 or Q2? The balance between quality and quantity, which one is better, like, based on your experience? And finally, if you recommend a handbook about research, I have gone through many books, but somehow, I don't know, I didn't find a good one. If you recommend, will be so good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Very good questions, Said. For question 1, basically, if you know in terms of the novelty, right? So first thing, I just give you suggestion. Look at and read reputable journal like Q1. If you go to SJR, Simago Journal Ranking, search the topic related in your topic and search that journal. Download 2 articles in the last 2-3 years. Why you cannot just download in the last 10 years is too old. Now, this is one requirement for all of the researchers. You need to update your literature, update the references. You never put the references, the previous studies 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is too old, right? So we need to update the references. So read that and look at the first 2 pages, Pak Syed. So the first 2 pages, you can feel that the novelty. The second criteria after you read from Q1 and Q2, the criteria of novelty, typically novelty, justification, significance of the research, to close the gap, like what you mentioned, is that like novelty if you use the same research and then to be implemented in Indonesia, the research already conducted in India or maybe in Pakistan, and now in Indonesia, and the same model? No. You basically repeat that model, you borrow the survey, and then to be distributed and to be translated in Bahasa, and then you distribute it in Indonesia. Even though the results, different. So you can try to get published in Q4, but never try in Q3 or Q2, Q1, even in my journal. The reason is how we say that the novelty, because you maybe look at the model, you look at the conceptual framework, whether or not you need to introduce a different kind of model, to be implemented in the psychology or different kind of organization behavior. It depends what topic might be. And then borrowing a different kind of theoretical contribution from other disciplines, whether those particular logic and clear, concise into your area, right? And then the last, what you'd say, such as what I suggested to you, is whatever you just look at that topic in that paper, right? So look at the previous paper has been published is similar, and then you just play around with the model and thinking about any contribution. So in Bahasa Indonesia, we need to see in the ada benang merahnya is in line. So the topic, that objective, the research question, the novelty, and the literature, all 5 elements must be synchronized. So the only thing is, if you're missing 1 or 2 elements in there, end up with 3, no, you have to fix immediately. Never talk about research method, it's too early, right? So you have to fix the first 2 or 3 pages first. So that's why research proposal, the first stage of the beginning of your examination of the master degree is a sidang proposal. The examiner wants to examine whether that substantial is a master standard or PhD standard, whether is that doable for the research, and they can give you a signal for that. Now, the question 2, in terms of the handbook, what I suggest to you, the handbook published in Emerald and Teller and Francis and Elsevier and Sage, 4 of them, they have very good in terms of the book you'll be able to read. And some of the free webinar is a free access for you, or maybe can get access from the Parahangan University Library or your own library, whether you can get access to look at ebook or e-chapter or online or virtual presentation from those publishers. Okay. And then, can I please suggest to you, based on whatever you feel, that you need to follow any updates, maybe at the university in US, at the university in Asia, in Singapore, maybe in Hong Kong, or maybe in Australia, any particular, they have a webinar or publication tips, etc., you'll be able to attend and join. Okay, they'll be able to give you good signal for that. Now, what is the last question? I think you got 3 questions, Said. I think that
Yes. Yeah,
Pardon?
I asked, is it good to publish like 2 or 3 papers in Q3, Q4, or 1 paper in Q1? Which one is
Good
better?
question. Depends on the university metric when you get promotion. Typically, Indonesia, my understanding, when I mentor 7 of them, they got guru besar, professors. I think looks like it's gonna be mixed. They really like quantity, also quality, right? So meaning that if you got all maybe Q3, maybe they just say that, do you have a Q1, maybe 1? You know what I mean? Now, in Australia perspective, like in my KPI, I'm talking myself, for example, KPI, unfortunately, I cannot publish Q3 and Q4. So that's why I mentioned to Ibu May and Ibu Farah and Ibu Maria, maybe, you know, Pak Fernando, maybe if we join publication together, please minimum target Q2. Oh, very hard then, very. Can we just, don't worry, because it will take time, no problem. But if you got is so confident, you want to learn and you want to do that, that's a good time for you. Okay. So when you get used to it, Q1 and Q2, keep going, right? Never finish. Especially you work in academia. So one of the requirement I know for PhD, you need to get published, right? In the paper. I don't know with UNPAR, how many, whether the paper with the Q3 or Q4, I don't know. But my understanding at UNSRI, for PhD, for Q3, I think, I don't know, you know, for university like myself, my doctoral student, he's from Ghana, Peter Ajay Bamfo, I mentor him. He published in Q1, so 2 papers. I don't want to give a lot of pressure, but that's he agree. Then we work and we publish together before he finishes PhD. Okay, so that is the short answer is depends on the key performance indicators and expectation and your goal setting. If you look at the requirement for whatever university you work for, please check, talk to your mentor, discuss with your line manager, and discuss, you know, what particular requirement in order to go that level. Then please have a plan, research plan. For example, in the next 3 years, you want to become associate professor or guru besar, for example. In order to get that, we need to have how many publication? You with me, Said? So that from there, you need to have a plan. Which paper, right? You need to make a good table. So I'm more than happy to share what my research plan is. Look at the metric and my table. And that's a good example for student, normally for academic, if they want to follow. Okay. Okay, I got one. Bani, I think looks like put up his hand. Bani.
Yes, Bani, already. Please introduce yourself and you may ask your question.
And turn
Okay.
on camera, please, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. I'm in my way, sir.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to ask you with English, but if I have difficult to say in English, maybe I mix with the bahasa. My first question is, I'm focused in taxation, and we know taxation is a domestic issues. So I have a limit about the references about taxation. So what have I do with that? And my second question is, I have no experience submit in a Scopus journal. And then I worried how if my field is, you know, about the domestic issues like value added tax or PPN. So if it's possible to publish in Q1 or Q2 or Scopus. So because in for persyaratan in sidang in UNPAR, we have one Scopus. We have published like
Okay.
that.
Good question. So if you think that the reference is so limited, especially in the taxation, whatever might be your field, what I suggest to you, you be able to expand a little bit more in terms of the journal access in your field. That's the first one. The second one is, if in the academic reference is so limited, you'll be able to include the industry or government, taxation, whatever, any case study or magazine, etc., or maybe the new regulation or whatever, to strengthen that the reference in your research. Because since you do in the perpajak on taxation, so you'll be able to combine, not necessarily in academic literature, you'll be able to get the industry or practical literature, right? And you'll be able to submit that journal to the applied research journal. Okay, so that's your target, because for applied research journal, they really like the industry or government, the references in addition to the academic literature. So in terms of the balancing, maybe 50-50 for applied, or maybe 60-40, right? But what happens if the reference is in Bahasa? Are we able to publish in international? Of course you can, but the thing is you need to show that particular level, interpretation, cohesion. You know that the video telling you the interpretation in Bahasa context into the English, and what cohesion, whether any similarity and differences, and those particularly need to be discussed in your paper, yeah, or in your dissertation for your PhD, for example. Now, in terms of your second question, for PhD requirement in Parahangan University, well, the main thing for you, first thing is, I suggest all my students, basically, they have to discuss with me if I become your promoter, for example. So maybe in the next opportunity, if Parahangan University wants me to invite me to be external promoter, I'm more than happy to help. But the thing is, the student need to commit and also very good progress. Number 3, good communication. Because what happened, I also helping a lot with Pajajaran University and Diponegoro. That's why when I came to visit Bandung, I met my doctorate student there in UNPAR in Jatinangor, right? Sorry, is that in Bandung campus? I think Pati Ukur. So, and then we discuss, the research, discuss for the paper, and then, the other promoter happy, we publish in Q1, and we have a good plan, and we can start from there. Now, the good news actually for my student at Diponegoro in Tembalang, in Simpang Lima, right, Peleburan, there are two my doctorate student, they can publish in Q1, even though they did not finish their PhD, even though they did not yet for the sidang hasil atau sidang tertutup. I said, good. Now, that's already you really fulfill the requirement, then please go ahead with the sidang tertutup, right? Go ahead because it's already accepted. Why you have to wait? The only thing we don't want, to let student to pay perpanjangan, perpanjang semester, bayar lagi, membebankan uang negara, ini beasiswa. Jadi uang negara habis. Karena apa? Perpanjangan semester. Karena belum papernya mandek. So, can I please suggest to you, on time submission, never become mahasiswa abadi. Mahasiswa abadi sudah 5 tahun belum tamat-tamat. Atau 7 tahun belum tamat-tamat. Bisa menjadi problem maker. Dan problem 7 tahun karena datanya sudah out of date. Okay? Out of date. 7 years. So my colleague in Australia, I don't want to mention the name, his doctorate student is more than 6 years. I said, this is a very, very critical. Okay? And the data already collected in 2016, 17, now is 2023, still not yet finished. Okay, very dangerous. Okay, so unless the person, publish in Q4, maybe publish in international conference, no problem. Okay, so the good thing for Australia, there's no requirement. You have to publish in the international journal. One of the is a PhD standard. It's not PhD based on publication. If PhD standard, no problem. But it's a shame because the student work and then the supervisor work is good idea we publish together. Okay. So hopefully I answer your question. It's how do we say Bani Binekas? Yeah.
Thank you for the answer.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we still have time for another question. Is there any question from audience here?
That's one from Putri Andika, isn't it, in the chatting box?
Oh, yeah. One is
Yes.
from Putri Andika. Can a small scope of research be published in journal in Q1 or Q2, for example, local or regional scope?
Does your answer yes or no? If yes, if the journal is a regional study, even the journal of regional study, I don't know what does it mean. Is that the scope of your research in terms of the topic or the scope in terms of the data itself? Now, there are two things is the scope of your research. If the data, unfortunately, if you want to be international outlets, so it must be beyond, right? Not necessary and not in the local because the data itself, for example, you publish in the international outlet, but the data is only Bandung city, for example. Unless that particular Bandung city, you have substantial contribution and very high level you want to tell to the international audience, and that's a different story. But more than 85%, it's so difficult. Okay. Maybe you can try for the Sinta. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Sinta 2, Sinta 1, maybe it's a little bit more difficult now, my friend told me. Okay. So Q1, Q2, in terms of the scope of the region, if you publish your research in the regional development, then there's a one of Q1 journal, it focused on the regional development like rural, right? And one journal about urban. So if the scope is about regional, even though regional like in ada desa-desa ya di Bandung in Jawa Barat, for example, then if that particular you want to publish into the Journal of Regional Studies, but you can explain and tell to the regional study development that's Indonesia villages or Indonesia regional studies, then why not? You still can be able to publish in Q1 because the Journal of Regional Development Studies is Q1 under Simago Journal. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, I think we can still accommodate for one more
You're welcome.
question before we finish our session today. Is there any other question from audience?
Tolong banyak pertanyaan nih, kok malu-malu. Mumpung saya ada di sini.
Ya, question
Para
can
dosen
be in
mungkin
English atau
dosen
bisa juga di dalam
bahasa
bahasa
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Yes, no problem. Do you have international student here? Maybe we can speak in English then. If you have international student, please accept my apologies. If you have, you have international students, but they can't speak bahasa. So unfortunately, then have to speak 100% English then to answer your questions.
Kita punya beberapa sih Pak, mahasiswa Lionel misalnya ada di sini rasanya. Ya, itu dari saya lupa dari negaranya. Tapi
I'm from Rwanda.
Bagaimana Lionel?
Maaf, I'm from Rwanda, East Africa.
Oh, Rwanda, ya.
Rwanda.
Yes.
You can speak bahasa, Lionel?
Yes.
Sedikit.
Sedikit. Very good. You're Indonesia, very good. No problem. You can
Yeah.
ask in English though, no problem. Yeah. I got a lot of students also from Uganda, Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe, South Africa. Very strong community Africa in Western Australia. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, actually, my question is already answered from Osavi. Me also, I would like to ask that kind of question because I'm supposed to make my research in my country, Rwanda. So I would like to ask you if I can take like the verity from someone who did the same topic but in other countries. So I would receive the answer from you, Professor.
Yeah, but I think it does not stop you to do research. I'm not saying that your work cannot be published. What I just mentioned that maybe you have to just put more effort because if you repeat that research, whatever you just want to do in your home country, and maybe you need to say something what else contribution you want to put up in that paper. Is that contribution maybe in a discussion, maybe in a further recommendation, it's substantial contribution, what I just mentioned. So it does not stop you when you do repeat that particular thing. But again, working very closely with your promoters, your supervisors. Your supervisors can direct you, can help you, can support you, and it can give you very good insight, what you need to do, right? So all students do not feel that when you attend this webinar, you're going to be scared when you publish, because when I mentioned all rejected, this and that, we are still inhuman. We still live in this world, because any challenges what we experiencing, the challenges is in front of us. Rejection, whatever what you can do, my attitude never give up. Keep moving forward. The challenge there, no problem. It's a difficult challenge or easy challenge, whatever, that you can just face that challenge, do better, improve. That's continuous improvement coming along to assist you. Then seeking the opportunity. Never any particular, oh, I don't want to do this. It's so difficult. Never that mentally like that situation. What you need to be strong in terms of, okay, no problem, that paper is rejected. Say, for example, last night, my paper rejected by A-star bookmate. A star Q1. You know, do you think that this is the end of the world? No, nothing. It's just peanut. You know, kacang. I like eating kacang. Kacang Bali, for example. Nothing. If that particular taking the feedback comments from the reviewer, no problem. I said I'm going to Sydney tomorrow anyway for my business trip. But Monday, okay, I said I never give up with this paper. Okay, that's my first priority. I have to do that. What happened? I just discussed with my co-authors because I can't work by myself. We have a Zoom meeting. We have Microsoft Teams meetings. You know what we're gonna to do the next plan. Never, if the paper rejected, is something you put in your trash or maybe in the document. Never that attitude. Take this, revise this, edit, resubmit, discuss, attending this webinar, getting more understanding, good motivation, and also encouragement. That's something helping you, right? Everything they're gonna be stop you doesn't help. We need to keep moving forward. Okay, sorry, too much talking. I don't want to just continue. Otherwise, gonna be until 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Okay, anything else? No?
I
If
got
not,
my
then
answer. Thank you.
you're welcome. So maybe what I just giving you a message for a student, please develop that Parayangan University. This is a wonderful university, wonderful faculty. That's something you do not want to be mahasiswa abadi at Parayangan University. If you have problem, talk to your promoter, talk to your supervisors, talk to your mentor. Number two, take this as a learning experience for you and apply and write and read a lot of articles. And number three, can I please suggest to you, please do not have that attitude that, mentality is just I want to give up. Okay. And number four, keep moving forward. Okay. Whatever you do in your research, fulfill and look at the structure, the process, and the content, the topic, and discuss, and then read the paper you want to publish that from that journal. Look at in the last 3 years. And then number five, you work as a collaboration nature. Collaboration nature, it means that you can't publish alone. You work with other people. You work with 3 or 4 authors. If Ibu May, Ibu Ferry, I work more than how many countries now. I work with the different kind of authors, different culture, different languages, different time zones, and that's something you need to promote yourself, how you work together with other scholars to promote, to strengthen your research output, to strengthen your research publication, and to finish your PhD, to finish your master by research or master thesis. Right. For academic scholars, can I please suggest to you for para dosen, Bapak dan Ibu, ya, memajukan Indonesia, of course, and memajukan ranking university, ya, for Parayangan University, become very good scopus of research university. And number two, also, you want to have a goal setting to be professor, guru besar. You have a good plan for you when you want to achieve guru besar. What level paper I need to, this is something a lack of. I need to work hard to work on that level Q1 or Q2. If you really need more Q2, do more Q2, not necessarily Q1. Okay, so it's a step by step for you. Maybe from Q3 and then Q2, try Q2, right? If you think that Q1 is too hard, then you can try with Q2. Okay, so Papa, Ibu dosen, what I suggest you the same attitude. Never give up. Also, editing, read a lot, and also work very closely with your students in terms of publication. Because students need to help your lecturer and your supervisors. The thing is, we need to work together, because when you finish, this is a good paper for publication, then everybody achieve your goal setting and your outcome. So thank you so much for having me today in the webinar. So I'm so happy. I'm so glad to contribute and to run this session, Ibu May and Ibu Ferry especially, and also the faculty, and also if the dean's not here, so maybe say my regard to the dean. And again, thank you so much for having me today, and please accept my apologies if any maybe too much talking or something like it's not comfortable for you to listen. So please accept my apologies. So thank you so much, and may God bless you. All the best.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ferry. In today's webinar, Improve Research and Academic Writing Skills, Guide to Getting Published in Reputable Journal, we learned actually tactics, how to publish in top journal. Today, we also learn about we need to understand the need of the leading journal and understand who the audience are. Because when we know that, we know what reviewer like. Those materials will be provided by the faculty later on. Hope Dr. Ferry is allow us to redistribute the materials for us today. Today, we also learn about the layered paragraphing approach. This is quite not that sophisticated. It's quite simple, actually, description, critique, and solution, but this is eye-opening for me, for myself. So we need to learn from descriptive into the interpretive. Interpretive, it's quite, eye-opening for me. And remember also that journal has brother and sisters. So if we got rejected in one journal, find the brother or the sisters. So don't stop, never give up, keep moving forward. But we need to begin at the first. This is a reminder for myself, my fellow friends, doctoral students, and also master students, and also my colleagues in UNPAR. I believe we get motivational today. Yes, and also I myself do hope management department could make the offline session workshop with Dr. Ferry happen in the near future. Thank you very much, Dr. Ferry Ji. Let's give him a warm round of applause, and back to you, Chatherine.
Okay, so thank you very much for Dr. Ferry and also Mr. Fernando. So many we can learn today, and knowledge, a new knowledge maybe for us, the valuable insights also. So before I close this event, so let's take a group photo first. Okay, so for all the participants, please turn on your cameras. I will capture. On my screen there is the 3 page. So I will start from the first page. Okay, so I start for the first page. Just get ready. Okay, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, now for the second page, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and for the last page, just get ready. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Yeah, I think I got all the photos of us. Okay, so once again, thank you for all the participants who joined us today. May you leave this event with the renewed inspiration and deeper knowledge. And I thank you for Professor Dr. Ferry for your insight and knowledge, so many insight and knowledge. Thank you very much. And let's apply the knowledge we have gained today in our research and scholarly writing. Okay, so see you at the next event. I'm Chatherine Melinda, and on behalf of the entire team, we bid you farewell. Good afternoon and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you all.
See you again.
You're welcome. All the best.
Thank you,
Bye.
Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
You're welcome.
Prof. Ferry Ji-nya udah keluar juga ya?
Okay, I will stop the recording. Thank you very much.